are more powerful than anybody else in the city, he and his friends. I'm just thinking about parent engagement. You know that in New York now, maybe someone told me this is true a few other places, you can't have bake sale. Somebody wrote in the New Yorker, the old lefty bumper sticker had it, if schools got all the money they needed, and the Air Force had to resort to bake sales. And I thought, this writer says, now they can't even resort, in New York City at least, to bake sales. Bloomberg has outlawed bake sales. You're only allowed to sell in New York City schools whole grain brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts, number 12, reduced fat Cool Ranch Doritos, but nothing homemade. I underline. You may not bring homemade goods to school, either for your class party or for any other use. They're not allowed to be seen in school. It's interest of our health. Meanwhile, there's practically not a New York City school that has a regular gym teacher. And many of them no longer have recess, which is why we wrote that book on recess. But for our health, you may not bake cookies at home just because the kids want to take a trip somewhere. That's not good for their obesity. At a time when we're worrying about you know, I'm thinking about bonuses for teachers for their test scores, aside from all those other corruptions. I thought, you know, when the guys who caused our recent financial crisis got bonuses of several $1 million for failing, and they are offering teachers a few $1,000s if they succeed. I thought, well, would I feel differently if they were offering us millions? But there's something shameful about people who are offered bonuses when they fail, telling teachers that the only incentive is to make a few $1,000s extra over their colleagues if they did better in test scores. There's something bizarre in our culture right now. And it's a culture in which some people have much too much. I don't even know how they can spend the money. You know, when I was younger, maybe 30 years younger, the average General Motors CEO earned 90 times as much as the average worker at General Motors. I think that was pretty shocking to me. But today, the average Walmart executive earns 900 times what the average Walmart employee. There is something about our acceptance of that idea. And then talking about if only these kids would get diplomas, they would be rich too. What, the diploma's going to produce jobs paying this kind of money? The top 1% of this country earns approximately as much as the 40% of the 40% of the population. Democracy cannot survive that. And we need schools that build the kind of feisty kids who learn in the environment of feisty grown-ups and feisty parents who are willing to argue with each other, struggle with each other, what it means to be a member of a strong community. Democracy is not just a place you go to polling booths. It's when you're a member of a community. And schools are the one place we have left where we can, if it meant enough to us, think as our first priority, is this an example for kids of what strong adults can do together if they're determined enough to do it. It's a place where kids can listen into. I'm not discussing right now kids voting. I'm willing to discuss that, but it's not my primary issue. It's kids being able to listen in to a culture that the school creates in which adults are learning to, are excited about ideas, are reading, are coming into school excited, and were leaving school excited. I used to think about, I'd stand and wait for my grandchildren outside of the high school they went to, and I'd see how the kids came out at 3 o'clock, bounding with energy. You ever notice that? They're finally free, and they're full of enthusiasm for what they're going to do next. They haven't used any energy during the day, so they've stored it all up. Whereas the teachers come out about a half an hour later. I want us to come, I either want to reverse that. The teacher's bound out and the kids look exhausted, or something in between for both of us. And I want them to see us arguing with each other. We insisted at our schools, people used to tell me, well, in those families, beware of people who speak about those kids or those families. Those kids don't come to family conferences. You have to be able to get lots of money to have experts tell you how to engage parents. I mean, the truth of the matter is teachers don't want to engage parents. And even if we're teachers and parents, there has to be an enormous incentive that has to do with the work itself for us to welcome parents. And over time, it gets easier. But I remember one of the wonderful teachers, Geraldine, saying to me after, not to me, she said to herself, as we went down the stairs after a family conference night, oh, if I get another job, it's going to be in an orphanage. One parent had some complaints, you know, and we teachers are crushed. Someone thinks we're not perfect. Of course, there were a bunch of parents there who had good reasons to criticize us who didn't, so we should be grateful that one of them brought it up in front of their kids. What we found changed the whole environment was when the kids were there with the family, when it was genuinely a conference of interested people around the kids' work. I mean, I dreaded going to family conferences with my kids. And here I was, everything every school should want. They didn't actually. After that incident with my son and the tests, the teacher wrote in the cumulative record, mother, troublemaker. I didn't find that out for a few years later when the principal of the junior high school, who I became friends with, showed it to me. He said, just you should know that every teacher your kid gets sees this about you. He said, I'm planning to black it out. I said, thank you. But there are tensions between, particularly in the elementary school, between one group of women on the whole and another group of women, mothers. And we're all feeling, as women have been taught to feel, guilty. We haven't quite done everything we should. And some men are like that too. I apologize. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I still apologize, implying that men don't feel guilt. But and here they are, and confronting each other, and the teacher's trying to think how to say something a little critical in a nice way, and the mother is trying to think how to say something critical in a nice way, and neither of them say anything honest. But they get the gist of it. I don't approve of the way you've raised your kids, and I don't approve of the way you run this class. And it's a blow to